Do it.
Look at how messy the room is. I've got shit going on, baby. It's like Christmas exploded.
I love it. I love that you have shit going on. It sounds like you had a very busy morning with a live show and selling out a product.
I tell you,
La, la.
it's kind of the nice little happy accident about all this
What?
is I think Pat really likes being the cameraman.
I was going to ask you if that was going to become a burden for him or if he's enjoying it.
And here's the good part about it. I've got a neighbor down the block who's in the business. We went out to lunch yesterday. I don't know if you know Dan. I don't know Dan Ferranza. He's been around forever, but he's usually behind the scenes. But his claim to fame is the quick wrapper, magic wrap.
Okay.
Guy sold and millions of them on QVC
Okay.
and HSN.
Yeah.
And he told me a funny story about they bought a container of them at QVC UK, and they wanted to fly him over there to do it.
Yeah.
And so they buy whatever a container is. This container's got to be 15,000 pieces.
Sure. Yeah.
They fly him over there. So he and his crew, they're going to be there for 5 days, day to settle, day to watch, day to do the show, whatever. Anyway, he goes out to look for props. I'm going to buy my props there.
Oh, yeah.
Walks into the grocery store. Their standard size of their wrap, because this is like wrapping, like a plastic wrap.
Okay.
Their standard size plastic wrap is different than the size that we have in America.
Okay. Okay.
And it's like, so virtually everything they just bought was useless.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What did he do to fix it?
Well, he couldn't do anything. So, but and he said, you guys QA'd this thing, this is our standard 17-inch wrap. And
yeah.
So they ended up shipping it back they paid him. They shipped it all back to the US. Then he sold them out there.
We've always said that there should be a reality show based on behind the scenes of these shopping channels. You just don't know what goes on.
Crazy, I tell you.
Crazy. Well, I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
You're going to unpack some shit with us today. It is Friday.
It's a freezing Friday. What's the temperature there?
Freezing Friday. Well, we had a frost warning overnight, so that was disheartening. Right now, the current temperature, you want to guess?
The current temperature in New York City is sunny, but 42.
It is cloudy and 34.
I was hoping for the best.
I was hoping for the best too. And cold for Florida would be what?
It was 48 this morning when I got up to do this show.
Yeah, that's cold.
What's the temperature outside?
Very cold. I can't really. I'm sorry, sir. You threw a glaring thing up at the screen. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
Sunnier than shit in 63. It's gorgeous outside.
Okay, well, the sun changes everything, doesn't it?
It's nice when I jump in that pool, though.
Ooh la la! You got to do it for your health.
I'm doing it for my health. I didn't go in the pool this morning because I slept badly. Did the show and I didn't do my rowing. I didn't do my rowing yesterday, so I'm definitely doing it today.
Okay. Well, I'm still doing my treadmill.
In the mill. I'm losing so much weight. I need a belt now to keep my pants on.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how your body can change I feel the same way with, I'm so surprised with the treadmill, how everything fits differently. Everything.
Isn't it great?
Things I used to kind of struggle with, because over the winter here in New York, I will gain weight and I'm not going to beat myself up over it. It's a different time. But because we had the pandemic, it was different. Pandemic weight felt heavier. And so using that treadmill, I told you, I've always heard about runner's euphoria. Have you heard of that?
Sure. I was a cross-country runner.
I always thought that and thought it was a trick, that they were trying to trick people into running by saying you'd feel euphoric, because it seems wrong that your body would enjoy that kind of, endurance. I tell you, even me thinking about going on the treadmill, I get very excited about,
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, I'm going to, 2:00, let's do it at 2:00 today. And then I'm like, because then I feel better about eating and everything else. You know what I mean? And I'm still doing my 2 hours, which makes me happy. So when I slip on my jeans or something, I'm like, all right, that pandemic weight is definitely coming off. So
I hope this is encouragement for folks to we're not bragging on working out. This is nothing amazing. This is just getting up and moving a little bit. We're just saying, hey, this is working for me.
Yes.
It's aggravating. Like I said, that comic in Sarasota, all he could talk about is women.
Right.
Calm down. Nobody
Right.
gives a shit, really.
And here's the thing. We've all heard that it's diet and exercise, and yet we buy the tools, we buy the pills, we buy everything. Really, all we're saying is, yes, move around a little bit. You're going to feel better mentally. You're going to feel better physically.
I have a question. Do I have to get a little Rogaine going here?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot about Rogaine. Are you worried about your hairline?
Well, this is about as thin as it's ever been. Seems a little thin on top. I don't know.
Most fellas, I feel like they do one of two things if they're worried about
I'm going to shave it all.
That's one choice.
I'm not going to.
Or they change the way they style their hair. They move it forward. They do like a forward bang. No forward bangs.
I remember I was 18, 19 years old. Okay.
Yes.
And I never get, I feel very fortunate. I've never looked in the mirror and go, oh, this earlobe's a little lower than this one.
Sure.
This nostril's this. I've never had that. I've had people, I remember I was dating a woman, last 6 years ago. And she goes, how do you feel about how your skin's kind of crepey around your neck? I said, I've never given it a thought. I've never thought about it. I've never thought about anything. But I remember I was combing my hair one day. And my dad looks at me and goes, oh, I see you're combing your hair differently to hide your, receding hairline.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm not, but it's interesting. That's your observation of that. Cause men do recede here and here.
Yeah.
But I've noticed there's a scar here where I jumped on a freight train when I was 11 years old.
That's a good story. That freight train story.
That used to be covered with hair. The hair used to be down here.
Oh, okay. But have you always combed your hair back like that?
I've always combed my hair back. I always do this. It kind of falls the way it falls. This was the gal cut my hair. She's cutting it. And I go, I don't think you're taking enough off.
Oh.
I'm taking off a lot. Okay.
He's a professional.
I mean, this is like, I need a haircut. Let's talk about hair for 20 minutes.
Let's talk about hair. Well, I have a few topics, and I'm curious to know what you want to talk about on this Friday.
Oh, that's a soft way of asking. Do you have any topics?
It's a very soft way of asking, because I feel like sometimes you feel some pressure when I ask you about your topics.
Calling me out. I'm very sensitive about my topics.
I know you're so sensitive about those.
I've got a sad topic.
Well, I don't know. Should we start out with a sad topic? We already ran off the rails with the hair. What?
I'm going to just jump in. Do you mind?
Jump.
So anyway, way back in, last year when they were testing for the virus, in particular, Pfizer.
Yes.
They get groups of people. Like, I don't know the specific numbers, but the ending is correct.
Okay.
So they give 500 people the placebo, 500 people the actual, vaccine.
Okay.
And of the people that took the vaccine, none of them ended up in the hospital. None of them were dead.
Okay.
And of the 500, 17 were dead. They died of the virus.
That took the placebo?
Could so you get into this trial hoping you're going to get the stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel badly I get why they have to do that. Every time I hear about, we're looking for people to do trials, I always think, absolutely not. A trial is the word itself causes me great fear. It's a trial. There's nothing certain about it. I don't think I want to try that. I get why people do it, because don't they pay them?
You're not doing it for the money.
You're not?
You're doing it for humanity. You want to, you're saying, yes, I think, well, see, that's an interesting conversation. Pat blew me up. Pat's like, no way. They wanted that vaccine, and they were really to step up and get, they did it for they were not altruistic. No. I'm saying you involved it, you take the risk because, hey, I'm a healthy person. Maybe I could do something good for the world. I'll offer my body as a host for your vaccine. And you think it's going to be positive for me, and I'll be willing to take that chance.
You know what? Pre-pandemic, I might have jumped on that little boat with you. But now that I've seen how people treat other people and how people don't give a flying fuck about other people, I'm saying that they do the trials because they're greedy and they want something for free or they need the money. And that's how I feel about it.
You and Patrick are in that same camp.
I never used to feel this way, Tom. I never felt this way. But I'm telling you, humanity has proven to be, especially Americans, has proven to be a huge disappointment for me. There are so many more people out in the world that do not care about other people. It's stunning.
Well, I think I pray that that's the vocal minority.
Well, you can pray all you want, but
Wow.
I am saying no on this Friday. People are sucking so hard lately.
Come on.
I got to disagree with you, sir.
Well, let me just tell you, I have another story,
Another fun story?
another depressing story about humanity. This is going to feed into your narrative.
Okay, I'm ready.
Guys at Chick-fil-A, woman drive-through, woman behind him honks her horn. He's not moving fast enough for her liking, or who knows what he's up to, but he gets the honk, right?
Okay.
He pulls up, orders, goes to pay in the next window. He pays for his food and he pays for her food.
Okay.
He drives up to the next window to collect his food as she's realizing that he's paid for her food.
Yes.
He collects his food and he shows the receipt and collects her food.
Yes. Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
And then as I'm reading this, I'm going, the people are commenting on this. Well done. Way to go. That's karma. I'm going, you're a jerk. You're an asshole.
It's a jerk thing to do.
And that I hate to think folks that voted for you know who kind of like this story.
I think so. I mean, I could very well be wrong, but my take on it, my lens on this particular circumstance is the Trump era has really elevated bullies. We've all known bullies, but they've always been like a bad thing. Bullies have always been a bad thing. And now the bullies are proud of being bullies and they're bragging about being bullies and saying that it's free.
Oh, we're not taking crap from anybody.
Right. It's America, which is shameful because I didn't know that we were based on the idea of being bullies. I had no idea. So
What
no, that
happened?
was
You
shitty.
think with all those religious people that there'd be a little more turning of the other cheek.
Well, the problem with the religious people is that they seem to use their religion as weapons against others instead of being kind and lifting others up. I mean, I've had terrible church experiences. I mean, one of the biggest, worst church experiences I had was I was very involved in the church when I was married, very involved. I taught classes, very involved, right? My kids went there. When I was going through my divorce, because my husband was cheating yet again, the church told me he's the man of the house and I need to just move on. And when I told the church I disagreed with that, I got shunned. They took him in and they elevated him, and people stopped talking to me. I lost a lot of so-called friendships. I was devastated. Of course, now I'm thrilled because I'm like, you people aren't worth my time. But if you're in a vulnerable position and the church doesn't like your stance, they will harm you. They'll harm you. I mean, you hear it from people. Oh, the church is powerful. The church is about money. That I think the beginning ideas were good, but I think it's gotten out of control with, these the clergy in churches have become megalomaniacs. They have Lear jets and all these houses. Is that why you're talking about the Bible? So you can have a Lear jet? Because that seems to not be the WWJD. I am on a roll. What else can I argue about?
All right, I'm done with my negative topics. We need something fun.
Well,
a lot of demand for more sex talk on the show.
Oh, I know we really do. It's so funny. Not funny. I love when we talk about sex and then I hear from other people, because now people that have been guests on our show would like to come back and jump in on the sex bandwagon, which again teaches us that it is such a great and interesting topic. You just need someone to start the conversation. We all love talking about sex because it's something we don't normally engage in, right? And then you get someone like Christy that'll tell you how the body works. And then we can ask her all these questions. Like she's coming back a week from today. She'll be back to talk about the orgasms. Why 6 minutes for men, or 6 minutes for men, 20 minutes for women. So we might.
So we can get 3 in year 1.
No, you can't. Can you? Maybe
No,
when
you
you're
can't.
19.
That's why the math works, but it doesn't. Biology doesn't.
Can I ask you this? What do you think the record is for the most sex in one night, one-on-one? Just one-on-one.
One-on-one, the most sex, I mean, the most times she has an orgasm versus he has an orgasm?
Yes. What are the most times, just no more than 2 people? Because I don't want to change the math with, you got
Is this Australian rule sex?
Would you be willing to say how many times in one night? What's your record?
One night?
In one night.
So, it's all the limiting factor is how many times the man can ejaculate.
Well, of course.
Because the woman could have 100 orgasms.
I don't think we could have 100. I don't think our body could do 100.
Well,
I will ask Christy. I don't know.
Let's ask Christy.
I
don't know. Maybe 4, 3.
Well, that's pretty good.
Once the testosterone starts,
right. And you can only do so much about your physical limitations. I mean, you can't, no matter how much you wish it. I
mean, I had a buddy of mine's like, when we were in our 20s.
Yes.
We were so bereft of sex education. He knew less than I knew.
Yeah.
And he's like, gosh, after I ejaculate, I still got my boner, and I'm a little, she wants to have. So he was distraught by that, or not, or concerned.
Concerned about it. I mean, you know what? We don't really, do they teach sex ed in schools today? I don't even know what the protocol is anymore.
They call it health. And usually I don't think they never taught sex ed to me when I was in grammar school. And I think that's when the girls get it. All right, boys, you're off for recess. We're going to have a health day for the girls, usually in 5th, 4th grade or something. So they just warn you what's coming.
Right.
And you're going to start bleeding for no reason. Well, there's a reason. And here's what the reason is.
Right. Right.
Because if your mom didn't tell you, which you may or may not have, probably your dad didn't say anything,
Oh, how many dads really sit down if there's a mom in the family and talk about your period? I mean, that's like I
remember having the conversation with my ex about, hey, you've had the talk with the girls, haven't you?
The talk. I remember when my mom explained periods to me and I laughed and I said, that's a lie. There's no way that I thought it was hilarious. I said, no, absolutely not. I said no to that. I said, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Fake news.
I mean, I didn't even consider it. I was like, you're absolutely wrong, ma'am. That will not be happening to my body. I refuse.
Some sort of fever dream you're having? That seems ridiculous.
Well, while we're on this topic, yesterday, when I'm on the treadmill, I try to find shows that I could be really distracted by, because I don't just walk on the treadmill. I'm not a fitness freak. I want to be distracted. Even though I enjoy walking, I do have a tendency to get bored or restless. So I put on The Darknet, which is a Showtime show.
Oh.
I know, money. And I do enjoy my Showtime. But The Darknet is all things I know nothing about, about people that are really invested in manipulating information and different addictions and things that go on the internet, right? So it's like a bunch of 30-minute series. One of them was about pornography. And I know a little bit about pornography, but to be real honest, I don't know the history. I don't really know details, right? Check this out. Pornography is such a problem for men, right? Because of course, as a young person, you want to look at stuff, but the problem, the way the system is set up, the way it works is, if your parents aren't really watching you or have, the controls and the guidelines on your internet browser, you can see anything, bestiality, whatever, right? And because porn addiction is such a problem, there are all these sites now to help men in particular. I'm not saying women don't have the issue, but to help men in particular with that particular addiction. And here's what I learned about pornography that I had no idea, Tom. I think this is fascinating because I guess I haven't thought a lot about it. Now, there's a difference between watching porn and being addicted. And addicted would be you can't stop yourself. You can't have an orgasm unless you're watching porn. You can't have a regular sex life because porn is the only thing that's an addiction, right?
Right.
One kid in particular was talking. He started watching porn at the age of 9. So think about that. He said it wrecked him for any kind of relationships with women. It wrecked him for orgasms. He said he would jerk off so much that his penis just stopped working altogether. Like he was just abusing himself because he needed more and more and more. At first he said it was boobs, like, oh, he liked to look at boobs. And then, oh, well, you put things on the boobs. And then, and then it's more and more until it's so depraved and so beyond and I get this. Anything that you think, oh, I wonder if they have this in pornography, they have it. So he said he was so addicted, it became his whole world. And he said, so when he was out in the world and not looking at his phone, he felt ashamed and he felt bad about himself. And he felt, like, how do I separate this darkness? Because I think when you think, Tom, most guys that watch porn acknowledge that this is not normal sex, right? It's not normal behavior. You just like it because it's arousing, and who doesn't want to, have an orgasm and jerk off?
Well, it's an interesting thing. Let's say if you're 17, 16, whatever your age is, 25, and you're a man and you've got no game. You're a little overweight, you're a little bit shy, you don't have anything going on. It's like it's the balance of, okay, should I wait around for a relationship that doesn't seem anywhere near my future?
Right.
Girls don't talk to me. I can't talk to them. It's like versus this, at least self-satisfying experience. At least it's like, so wait forever or go this way. But the trouble is it's like drinking, I like one drink every week, or are we drinking constantly all the time?
Yes. And is it your choice to watch a video as opposed to maybe participating in real life?
You may not have a choice. You may not have that option.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
well, I'm just saying, a woman can, you in your mind know if you want to have sex today, you could probably have sex today.
Sure.
A man, sex today, you better have $300 in your pocket. If you want to know guaranteed you're gonna have sex today.
Yeah.
He can't go out there and will that to happen. He can't walk into a bar. He can't do anything like that. It's a whole different world. Women are, hold all the keys to that. And it's like, I just want to have a little control over that part of my life. I can't just sit around waiting forever.
Yeah. But can you imagine? I'm so grateful growing up. I didn't have to deal with the internet as a teenager. I didn't have to deal with comparing myself to all the other teenagers.
Oh, it's brutal.
And to know that all the dumb things you did, because, as teenagers, we grew up in the 70s as teenagers doing dumb things at a party and not having it online. Lifesaver. And today, I mean, that's part of what one of the other segments was about. Anything you do in the world, you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's filming you. And then it comes up later. There was another lady that came on that said a lot of her job prospects have been ruined because of some dumb mistakes she's made in the past, and she had a bad breakup. So her ex keeps it current on the internet. So she can't get a great job, which is also just, it's devastating, right? So as far as the whole pornography thing and talking about sex, I appreciate the fact that people that have been on our show want to talk about it, because I think it's a very engaging topic. And there's so many nuances to sex and to what would make a better sex life. Because I don't know anybody who says, you know what, I don't really care about sex. I don't want a better sex life, right? Everybody I talk to says, yeah, let's do this. Let's make it better. Let's make it exciting. Whether men and women want different things, we still want good sex, right? So
amen to that.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have Christy come on and explain orgasms to us.
Our sex doctor, our resident sex doctor.
Yeah, Christy is our sexpert. Is that a word? A sexpert? So we're going to talk about that. But along those same lines, I love topics, and I was looking on, I think I told you about this one thing on Instagram. It's called the Instagram name of this particular account is called Datingfuckingnightmares. And it's just funny because it's people sharing screenshots that they've gotten from other people. And they're like, does this happen to you? Which I think is extremely helpful. So you can see what's going on in the world.
A lot of jackasses out there.
So this one lady wrote, I have a question. How do people in relationships find someone that you like enough to date and then they also like you back? I'm unclear on this process.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy
And
because
in the middle of all that, there's a lot of hurt feelings, and you know,
your ego really gets in the
oh,
way.
you're too aggressive. You're not aggressive enough. You don't show how you feel. Your heart's out there on your sleeve. It's like, wow, the balance is crazy.
Yeah, but where did we learn how to date?
Well,
Trial?
trial and error, but I mean, when I was dating, it was always a slow start, and you'd meet somebody by happenstance, and some common experience, or oh, we're at the same high school softball game, we're at a
Yeah,
dance. Now it's, I mean, one person on one side of the phone with who knows what. The only common thing we have is we're on this app, we're on
right,
Facebook together, we're on, you know,
right,
it's insane that anybody gets along with anybody. The odds
right.
of, well, it's funny because I was so Pat composts everything,
Okay. Of
right?
course he does.
Of course he does. And
Yes.
and he starts growing this this avocado tree starts spontaneously growing out of the compost.
Oh, that's fun.
And since we were talking about avocados, avocado comes up on his phone as, here's an interesting YouTube to watch. He's
Yes.
going, I never did anything about avocados. So we watched the avocado video, and the
Yes.
guy says, hey, everybody thinks this is a fun thing. You get this nice Haas avocado, you take the pit, you stick it in water with some toothpicks,
Yeah.
it starts growing some roots, you
Yeah.
stick it in the ground, and you wait 7 years, and then it starts bearing fruit. He goes, I've got a little bit of bad news for you. What's that? You know that avocado you loved and you planted that seed? The, the tree that's going to come from that seed will not taste like the the fruit that produced that seed.
Why?
It's just the nature of how that thing comes, how that avocado is generated. Same thing for apples as well. Now, other seeded fruit like a peach tree,
Yeah.
that will give you a peach tree that tastes like the peach you had. It's bizarre. I don't know what the specific genetic rules are. So every Haas avocado you have came from the original Haas avocado, which was one of 10,000
Huh.
different types of avocados that were grown over the years that tasted, oh, this avocado tastes bad, this avocado tastes worse. This avocado, the 10,000th one, tasted like the Haas avocado that we all know and love. So every avocado that's been grown since then has been grafted from that original avocado.
That's why avocados are so expensive, I guess.
That's part of the reason, but they're all coming from that same seed. So I'm saying the opportunity for you to meet somebody spontaneously is 1 out of 10,000. That's, everything's going to go just swimmingly.
Yeah. So what do we do? Do we just settle? What do we do, Tom?
We'll just sit in the chair, do our podcast, wring our hands.
You know
No,
what?
you got to keep on. You got to keep on. You know, you find a person you like, then you graft that person onto you.
Do you think that dating will change now? I just read this morning, I think it was in the New York Times, they said, all right, if you've had your shot, you can travel now. They're not going to be testing at the airports anymore. Like they're really letting things go because we've all been really pushed down this last year. Do you think people will be more open to dating in ways they weren't before because they feel like they've missed so much this last year?
That could be. I think, yeah, I think that people are, you're watching the clock a little bit. So, my God, there was a year that we just wasted. Let's get out and be more spontaneous. Oh, may I circle back and give you an idea what I think?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get more into a kind of like a, um, kind of like Match tried to do this, or eHarmony tries to do this, where they take more of a profile, they'll be able to take like a sexual profile, an intellectual profile, and an emotional profile,
Okay.
and then build that, and they'll be, and maybe an astrological profile, all these factors, and then you're going to weed out a lot of different people, and then you're going to find your way to get matches. I think we're in the middle of a shit storm. We're trying to date the old fashioned way with new technology, and it's a mess. Where 15 years from now, they're going to be able to tell you you're probably not going to get along with this person because you filled out these things,
Yeah.
and it's not going to match. So one, you just have to sit down and get analyzed, and then go find somebody else who's on the same page. You got to see the world the same way. Religion's probably important, you know,
Yeah.
attitude, risk factors,
Well, and
stuff
the
like that.
crazy thing is, at the end of the game, it depends on chemistry, right? You could find the perfect person on paper and you get in the same room and you're like, there's not a,
Well, I was watching this dating coach on TikTok,
yeah, you were.
and what happens is most of the time these dating coaches, they get approached by women, find me a man, this, and this, and this.
Right.
And she's
Right.
like, well, that guy is a
Yeah.
1% of the population. He
Yes.
makes $280,000 a year. He's 6'5". He works out. He's a Christian. And, this, you're describing this tiny, tiny little person.
Yeah.
And, well, I know what I deserve. And she's
Right.
like, hey, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's a little in the stomach, a little balding, if he's a good person, if he's hardworking. These are attributes and things you want to go for. But you and we both know, yeah, he may be all that, but if there's no chemistry, we're not moving forward.
Right. And I do know from research in this, studies have shown that women actually, that whole joke about the dad bod, women are actually more open to guys without the perfect body, but men seem to hold a higher standard. Like, it's shown that men that are overweight still expect a fit female.
Of course they do. But this is guys who are bringing something else to the table. I'm not bringing a fit body. I'm bringing cash flow. So
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
a trade. I mean, I'm just saying that's the way,
Yeah.
the way of the world.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's,
if someone were to ask you, because I don't know what kind of person I'm looking for, I feel like I'm more open to, there's all kinds of people I haven't met yet. I don't really know exactly what kind of person I'm looking for. I know a few things that matter to me, a few things as far as ethics and morals go. But other than that, I don't have a 6'4", you know what I mean? I don't
I
have
said
that
6'5".
whole, oh, you're six foot
No,
five.
I'm not 6'5". I said 6'5" as the
Oh.
ideal man.
So, do you know kind of what, do you have it in
I
a
tell you,
category?
it's interesting because, before I was married the second time, I probably went out with certainly less than 20 women, probably somewhere around 15.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a number. I mean, in high school, I dated one, and then the second woman I dated a longer time. And, I've had a 3-year relationships. My relationships used to last about 3 years and
Yeah.
very little sparse dating in between. So, I mean, I haven't had a bride, but after I got divorced 10, 12 years ago, I have dated quite a bit. And it's interesting to know what I think at 60, I'm finally getting an idea of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Got to be an easy laugher. Smart is super important.
Yeah.
Positive attitude, super important. Laughs at mildly dirty jokes. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? I
Uh-huh.
don't want, somebody who's not smart, somebody who's not, doesn't
Right.
think life is fun.
Right.
I don't care what she looks like.
Right. And then, are you thinking you want to get married again?
If she's got a lot of cash, absolutely.
Knew it. I
Lock
knew
that
it.
down.
I knew it.
I don't
No.
know. I think marriage again is I think that just it's like asking a woman, does she want to have a baby? Well, maybe I'm thinking about this over here, but unless I'm in a warm, loving relationship that's nurturing, I don't know that I want to just flat out have a baby. Why would you want to have a baby and just out of context?
You think asking a guy if he wants to get married is the same as asking a lady if she wants to grow a baby in her body?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. I'm saying I think I'd have to be in a relationship and say, yeah, this would be nice to lock this down and we can make a commitment to each other. And yeah, but I'm not against marriage.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if that was, some people have a very firm idea, like I would like to be married,
Right. Uh-huh.
kind of a scenario.
I think I'd like to be living with somebody for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. See, even I've said this before, it's probably not fair. I don't think I want to live with anybody. I think I want to have separate
You're
residence.
living with somebody now.
You know what I mean? I think I would prefer to have his place and my place. And maybe that's not even a healthy option.
I tell you, that's not. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad idea.
That's where my headspace is. The idea at this point in my life, living with someone's very difficult. It's very difficult to
See, I see that. Yeah,
change
I know,
change
but
your space.
I see that as too much. You're missing out a lot of fun. This is me.
Yeah, I
We're
gotcha.
coffee in the morning, figuring out we're making meals together. Watching TV on the couch. It's like everybody's separating, going their separate ways all the time. It's like ugh, exhausting. Just move your shit in over here. Let's get started.
How many people, you said Patrick has a 4-bedroom house?
Uh-huh.
Good Lord, man. You guys could be making some cash. Is he going to Airbnb any of the rooms or anything?
I don't think so.
Such a moneymaker. I think Airbnb, if anybody's investing, that's going to be coming right back up now that people are going to start traveling. Don't you think it'll get back up there?
Yes.
Yeah, I recently discovered Public. I think I talked to you about this before, and it's a great little investment tool. It's an app. They do such a good job of, you get to talk to other people that are on the app, people friend you and they talk about trends, and then every stock that you want to look at, it'll say, here's what we recommend. This is, hold it now, sell it now, buy it now. Like, it's very interesting. So I have invested in the last, I don't know, month or so, just $1,000, like not a ton of money, but in Apple, in Microsoft, and Tesla, and things. And it's so interesting because it tracks all the time and it tells you,
Sure.
like, you know what, it's trending. And in the past, when I've tried to do these things, I've always struggled because I know nothing about that. I don't care how much I research. I'm never going to be a day trader. There's too much. And I know you kind of dabble in that, don't you?
I used to trade. It's very interesting to me. I'm not doing it anymore. Pat trades on the regular.
Okay.
It's all good. It's good to be in the market.
Yeah.
Most of my money is into my business.
Yeah.
So.
I recommend Public just because here's the reason I was drawn to it. You can start with as little as $1. They allow you to invest $1 at a time because it's really for people learning. So if you want to invest $1 in Amazon, it'll say this is 0.99999% of a stock, but it gives you an idea of how to trade and how to place.
Sure,
I really
absolutely.
enjoy
Be part of the
that.
process. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I really
like
enjoy
that.
that. Yeah, me too. So I know we haven't really had any sexy stuff, but I did want to briefly touch because we do talk about current events. Have you watched any of the live trial with this Derek? Is it Chauvin?
Yeah, I
Chauvin?
think it's Derek Chauvin. I
Because
have watched pieces of it. Yes, ma'am.
someone was calling it the trial of George Floyd, and they said no. The trial is of Derek Chauvin. It's not a trial about George Floyd, but it's those things where you manipulate the words because, I know some people are very upset saying, well, George Floyd did drugs or he wasn't a good person. I'm sorry. It's not up to us to decide who lives and dies. So no, thank you to that. But what's been your perspective so far in what
Well, this is how all trials go. In the beginning, it's like, oh my God, the evidence is overwhelming. Why are we even having a trial? Just put this guy in a stake and start it up. So, but that's how all trials are. The prosecution gets to go first, and the defense is on their heels. So, yeah, I think the guy deserves to be in the electric chair? Yes, I do. But I'm not surprised that it's lining up like this. I mean, it's an emotional. It was a horrible thing. I mean, yeah. So I'm not surprised it's really looking bad for him right now, as it should be. And it'll be interesting to see what the defense is.
Yeah, I thought it was very curious that his defense attorney, when he was questioning one of the witnesses, was trying to egg on, because you see this in all the shows, right? He was trying to egg on the witness saying, oh, Well, you called the police a name. Oh, were you angry? Were you
Yeah,
angry
you're an angry
because
black man.
yeah. And so the defense is trying to show that the cop got so much in a frenzy because of the crowd that he wasn't in the right mind, so he's not responsible for his
Right,
actions,
right.
which what trickery. It's just heartbreaking, right?
Well, he's allowed a defense. He's allowed
I know.
to plant seeds of doubt. That's his job. And I think it's the prosecution is doing a good job addressing some of these potential landmines that he knows that the defense is going to try to, explode. Like he was on drugs and he was this and this. And then we all agree. The shopkeeper said, yeah, George looked like he was high, but he wasn't combative and he was communicative. And so he was fine,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah. I
And
actually,
I remember that the gentleman who was the security guard being interviewed,
yeah.
being testifying, and he was trying to trick the black guy and said, "Yeah, I was an angry black man." No, I was desperate. I'm seeing a man being murdered. I'm not angry. I'm desperate
Right.
for him to stop doing what he's doing.
Right. Yeah. No, I had a family member who's very much a Trump supporter tell me, oh, this whole George Floyd thing's out of control. The black community's always trying to raise up people that are on drugs. I don't think, in my eye, I don't think,
As she takes her Xanax.
right? Yes. I don't, in my eye, I'm not seeing the black community trying to raise up someone who does drugs. They're starting trying to say this is a human being. It's
Yeah,
not up to any of us to
right.
decide if
Yeah,
he lives or dies.
he's shuffling through the planet just like you and I shuffling.
Right?
So the guy, is he a model citizen? Probably not.
No.
Does everybody get a chance to shuffle the way they want to shuffle, and then so nobody gets to change, an opportunity to change?
Right.
He's on a bad run. Him and his girlfriend were hooked on, opioids for a long
Yep.
time.
Yep.
He's passing a bad 20. The clerk knows it's a bad 20. It's like, ugh,
Yeah.
he's not in a good place, but he doesn't deserve to be killed.
Right. Yeah. So I just think it's interesting. Again, a lot of us are home from the pandemic, so we have more time to pay attention to these things. So it'll be interesting to see what the outcome is. I think either way, you were going to see some rioting, don't you think so? Either way that the trial goes. I think this is going to be bigger than the Simpson
Ooh,
trial.
that's an interesting thing. So you're claiming if he's found guilty, who's going to riot?
What do
Angry
you,
white, angry whitey.
the white supremacists are going to throw a
Oh,
fit. For
that'll
sure
be
they are.
that'll be crazy.
Yeah, I think for sure I mean, remember, did you watch when the verdict was given in the Simpson trial?
I remember sitting on my couch with my twin daughters. What year was that? 1997,
90 something. Yeah. I remember where I was at.
96, 97.
I remember. How did you feel when you heard the verdict?
Free the juice. I
Did
was
you think it was
unhappy.
okay? Well, everybody had very strong feelings whether they thought he was set up or not. I mean, now time has shown that he was guilty.
OJ was surprised. He was freed.
Yeah,
What?
really,
What
he
happened?
really was. I mean, he really was. I remember just feeling sick about it. I remember watching the verdict thinking, I did not see this coming. I thought it was very clear. And of
The guy
course,
was escaping from the cops on TV.
on TV, he had cuts on his hand, like everything. But I mean, I read some of the books about some of the people involved in the defense and how, our laws are tricky, man. You have to really know what you're doing when you're
Oh,
going to court.
absolutely. It's all collection of the evidence. It's like they had that Chauvin's sergeant on, and it's like,
Yeah.
did you do this one after this? Did you do this? Have you did you debrief everybody? Did you look at all the evidence? So they're going to
Yeah.
try to see if they've made a mistake in structure, following detail, and then,
Right.
hey, if you didn't do this, then the whole thing gets sauced out.
Right. And what do you think if he's found guilty, which I pray he is, but if he's found guilty, do you think it will change the way the police force handles excessive force? Do you think it will have any impact?
Yeah, you got to give these guys pause to realize that the next move that they make,
I hope.
because you're given this great power, right?
I hope so.
It's
Yeah.
we're in a transition stage. It's like baseball and steroids. Finally, the players decide we don't want a bunch of guys doing steroids because the records mean nothing. They're not letting these guys in the Hall of Fame. So I better not do it, and I'm going to play ball. So the same thing with the cops. Once they find out that we can't just indiscriminately do whatever the hell we want, even though it's a small group that are like that, then we got to
Sure.
start policing our own guys. If they go off the deep end, we got to turn them in.
I
Can't
hope
support
so.
that nonsense. Just like you're watching, what's his name from Gates, right? From Florida, the congressman.
Oh,
What's his name? Gates?
Matt or something
Yeah,
like
Matt.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
well, he's in
reading a
trouble,
lot.
and his own people are jumping off the bandwagon. He's a
Yeah.
bad guy, and they're giving him enough rope to hang himself.
And that's interesting too, because there's definitely that whole mentality of a boys club, right? And now people are coming forward saying, oh, he's shown us videos and photos of naked women bragging about having sex with them. Why wasn't that stopped? Why? You know what I mean? Now that he's in trouble, now they're going to take him down, which they should. But at the same time, like if you're the kind of guy that shows naked photos of women and you brag about the women you've been with, you got something broken in you.
Wait a minute, I'm not supposed to do that?
Uh, Starting today, stop doing that. Stop doing that. So I will look forward to him. They said he's thinking about resigning anyway, so he can go do something else, so he doesn't have to deal.
Well, he wanted to go work for Newsmax.
So if he resigns, he still has to own what he did. You can't
Of
just
course,
walk
he,
away and go, no, I'm not.
he's being charged of transporting a minor over state lines for sex. That's a huge no. That's 10 years in the slammer.
Well, here's how bold he is. According to the information I read yesterday, he was paying for sex and paying on a cash app.
Well, who hasn't done that?
Paying on a cash app. That's how bold you are. That's how sure you are. Just like, the Trump stuff, I know it's different in Florida than in New York. I think we hear a lot of the news about how he's going down, and I know people elsewhere think he's not, but he used to be very protected by people. All the people around him are crumbling now. They're
Well,
crumbling.
he can't. He doesn't have any more levers to control people.
Yeah.
Now the non-disclosures are falling apart. The NDAs that he had people sign.
I
So
saw that. Yeah. So I'm very excited. Every day we have news about how he has to go to court. I predict he's going to run away. There's no way that guy's walking into court because he doesn't think he has to. I think he's going to run away. I think he's going to hide. He's going to either fake his death or he's going to go to Russia. He's not going to go to court. There's no way he has the balls to walk into a courtroom, because I think he now sees for the first time in his life, he doesn't have the protection that he's had. He was accused of rape, and he's like, instead of saying, I didn't do the rape, he says, she's not my type. I'm the president. You can't touch me. Who talks like that?
a madman.
Yeah. So I'm excited for him to go to prison. I'm excited for that Matt guy to go to prison. I'm excited for
You love prison.
Yeah,
and you're excited to see it on Hulu.
I'm excited to see all these stories on Hulu when I watch all my murder shows.
Watch my stories.
So, and then I can, tell my grandchildren, when this happened, I was around when this happened.
So I think OJ went down to 97. I'm gonna guess.
That sounds about right. I couldn't tell you for sure. I just remember the moment that it was announced, feeling sick in the pit of my stomach because it seemed very obvious. And then later when I heard, people on the jury said, Black people have been punished enough. They were using him as which is awful. Let a murderer go. I understand why they did it, but it was wrong. They openly admitted, you know what?
And then at least he went to jail for some nonsense, and they gave him the maximum, whatever that was.
Yeah, but he's out now. He's out now.
He's looking for the murderer still.
Oh yeah, he did that. He was one of the first people to get the vaccine. That was news here in New York. Like, wait a minute, before most people got the vaccine, OJ was bragging on social media that he got the vaccine. Really? Mr. Murderer got the vaccine?
Did you have a fun topic today?
We're a mess. I'm sure I do.
We're almost time to say goodbye,
Okay. I feel like, I might be on a wave of revenge, because a couple of these stories I wrote down about. Here's a funny thing. Have you ever had a resume? Maybe not because of the way you work. Have you ever had a resume and kind of made it fuller than maybe it should possibly be. I mean, you hear these stories where people take their resume and it's not always accurate because the thinking was, oh, what are they going to check? Are they going to check everything? Right?
Right.
Have you heard that? Have you
Sure.
done that on a resume? I feel like being an independent contractor, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really matter now if I would lie on my resume. I mean, about what it would be.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I'll run a little fast and loose. I worked at Home Shopping for 10 years.
Yeah.
I was a host for 3 years, in management for 3 years, and back on the air for 4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
3, and 4.
Right.
Well, those 3 years I was in management, I was the first network sales manager, and I was also the director of on-air talent.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like I was at Home Shopping for 10 years. I was the director of on-air talent, and I was a host.
Yeah.
So it's all true.
Right.
Why parse it all up? If somebody wants to think I was the director of on-air talent for 10 years or a host for 10 years, let them think that. So my lives would be small. It would be omission.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be something, oh yeah, I was a senior vice president in charge of programming. I'm not doing that.
Right. Well, I was looking at Instagram and they were talking about funny stories about how people fluff up their resume. And so someone wrote in the question, how would you write on your resume how to change a light bulb? Because they were showing how funny it is, the words you can use, right? To make things. So this person
I bet there's engineering in there somewhere.
Yeah. Here's what he wrote. I single-handedly managed the successful upgrade and deployment of new environmental illumination systems with zero cost overruns and zero safety incidents.
I love it.
That's how you put in a light bulb. So, and again, it goes back to your lens and your perspective. How do you? Of course,
I've seen hosts be responsible for, $38 million in sales over the course of a month. Yeah, you were sitting there where the machinery was chugging away.
Right.
So I was responsible for $1 billion in sales.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. I'm hoping in today's world, as things are shifting and changing, even though you and I are in sales, I think more important than our numbers are what people have to say about us or what our recommendations are, right? Because I feel like that's very important.
Yeah, a recommendation is much stronger than some sort of vague
number.
Right.
Yeah. No, I feel that way too.
Oh, by the way, you're able to slip my resume into when we have guests, by the way. Say
that again?
When we're having guests, you're able to slip my resume in there too. I don't want to be tooting my own horn.
Oh, you got to remind okay, if I get distracted, just go toot toot, and then I'll know. Yeah.
So then Henry and I could have a conversation about Carrie Cart and Shark Tank, and without me pretending I've got to throw my resume in front of him,
Okay, I'll do that.
Because he's looking at me like, who's this guy? Where is this guy from?
Who's this guy? Well, I told him who you were. He's got to do his homework too. I can't do everybody's job around here.
He's not doing any homework. He's the guest.
So have you ever been on a cruise?
I have.
And one of the things for me when I go on a cruise is the overabundance of alcohol. I feel like there's a lot of alcohol, and I feel like that's kind of what people want to do is hang out and drink, right?
Yeah, drink and eat.
So have you ever heard of the name, and I'm going to say the last name wrong, Charles, Joughin? Is the J silent? Joughin? Joing? Anyway, he was the baker, the chef on the Titanic. Have you ever heard about Charles from the Titanic, what happened to him? Because I've heard a lot of Titanic stories. We've all heard the crazy stuff. This is the first time I ever heard this. It says he drank an entire bottle of whiskey as the ship was sinking because he's like,
say goodbye.
Right? After he drank an entire bottle of whiskey.
That's a lot of whiskey.
It's a lot. I would die. I think I would just die. It says he spent 3 hours it says -2 Celsius. So I don't know what that is Fahrenheit, -2 Celsius, 3 hours in the water after he drank. Now, we all know your body changes when you drink alcohol. He was in the water for 3 hours and then he was rescued.
Well, the alcohol is like antifreeze.
It saved him. The fact that he gave up literally saved him.
That's crazy. That's
Isn't that
great.
fascinating? It's the first time I've ever heard that story.
Isn't that amazing?
Right? So along with today's whole thing about, I'm on a bandwagon, I want people to go to prison. Guys, if you give up, sometimes you still get rescued.
And that's our sexy tip for the day.
If
Did you know I met a woman that was on the Titanic?
At
Look at
HSN?
no.
Explain.
That's all I can take. She's tune in next Monday out for the full explanation. No, my best friend in high school, Ron Kapelnick, his mother's mother
Okay.
was a baby on the Titanic.
Wow.
She was like 3 on the Titanic.
Wow.
And Hattie, I met her. She was so she hated talking about it.
Really?
Nope. The mom, my buddy's mom, didn't know this about her own mother until she was an adult and she read about something about it in school.
Wow.
Because she didn't ever want to talk about it. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, now it's a movie, it's 100 years ago, it's romanticized. It would be horrific if you lived that event.
Yes.
Like as kids, we'd like to talk about World War II, because we all saw all the movies when I'm 9 years old. Your uncle was in World War II. Tell us about it. He doesn't want to talk about it. People were blowing up. People were shot around him. I don't want to talk about that. I want to move on.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And there was a, if you remember about 20 years ago, there was an exhibit that was traveling the country, the Titanic exhibit. It was an anniversary or something.
I went to it.
And apparently part of some of these exhibits were, okay, you're going to walk into this stateroom or whatever you're going to do. As you come into the exhibit, we're going to issue you a ticket.
Okay.
And it's going to be a person's name. And then you'll, learn a little something about that person, whether you lived or you died or whatever. Right.
I remember that. Okay.
So my buddy mom gets issued a random ticket. It's her mother.
Are you serious? That's insane. That's insane.
There you go.
I remembered about the Titanic exhibit was they had one room where it showed you how dark the night sky was and how hard it was to see the iceberg. So you actually stood in a dark room and they had like the bow of a ship and they, all the lights were out. So you had to move really slowly. And then little by little, they started to light up the outside of the ship so you could see this giant iceberg. And it was just so horrifying, right? Because it was dark. You don't think about those things. It was dark out there and they didn't have the technology that they have now. But the fact that she got her own family's ticket is
chilling.
Oh.
Her own mother's ticket. Yep.
Woo! All right. Well, so your tip of the day, my tip is, sometimes if things go wrong, drink an entire bottle of whiskey and things could still turn out okay.
There you go. I like that tip of the day. Can we wrap it up on that?
Let's wrap it up. I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise. I'm checking to see, you know what? Today's Good Friday.
Today is Good Friday. What are you doing about it?
It's funny. Patrick was rattling on about Holy Thursday and Holy Wednesday the other day. I'm going, my gosh, this is kind of renewed interest in religion. Well, you know what? He's just counting down to Easter so he can have another beer. He gave up booze for.
He was giving up. Well, here in New York, we have street parking and street cleaning. So every Thursday, if I'm parked in front, I have to move my car at a certain hour. I ran out to go move the car yesterday, and I do have the app on my phone. So as I'm running out, I noticed the other cars hadn't moved. And it's that whole group mentality of, what do they know that I don't know? Is something going on? I pull up my app. Yesterday was Holy Thursday. There is no street cleaning on Holy Thursday. Right? And today's Holy Friday. There's no street cleaning today either.
God bless you.
So God bless us, everyone.
Everyone. All right.
Have
a happy Easter.
Goodest Friday. And so Easter's this Sunday, I take it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm really out of the Easter loop as well. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Well, have a good weekend. Then we'll see you on Monday.
See you Monday.
That's another one in the can.